If you've spent much time traveling the country to hunt or fish, you've probably spent a lot of time staring at the windshield, looking at America from an asphalt trail. It's a time when adults get to dream without going to sleep. It's a place where the solitude of the highway gives us the freedom to let our minds wander and think about our adventure ahead. Our first day in Kentucky is always spent glassing the massive tree-lined fields that we plan to hunt. There are some fields that are 1,000 yards across. This long-distance scouting gives us a good indication of where the deer are moving and what we might expect to see when we're in the stand. It also gives us something to dream about the night before opening day. For a hunter, there's probably nothing more exciting than sunrise on the opening day of deer season. You don't know what you're going to get on that special day, but you're as excited as a child on Christmas morning as you wait to see what nature has in store for you. All right, folks, that was kind of a tough one. I had a buck come in about 15 minutes ago. Small buck, looked like about a 4, maybe 6. He came through, looked like he was cold trailing. He was walking through sniffing. And kept watching the trees just to see if anything else. Anytime I see a buck come in like that, cold trailing a doe, I always try to stay ready in that area because usually there'll be another one come in behind it. And sure enough, that's what happened. A good looking deer, very tall, looked like a mainframe 8, very short brow tines. And I didn't pull the trigger. Let it go. I've killed bigger out here, so that was a tough one. That's a good looking deer. That was a tough one to let walk. One of the hardest things to do when pursuing a trophy buck is letting the small ones go. Once you learn to do that, then you're facing the blurred lines between a good deer and a great deer. Making the decision on letting that deer go can be a little tougher. That is when you have to remind yourself of your end goal and what you're after, and keep the words regret out of your mind. My buddy got a good deer this morning. Met up with him, got some video of it. Went back, dumped a bunch of the footage I've shot today, getting back out here for about the last 4 hours. Got some reports on the other side of the tree line where another buddy was hunting that he's seen a bunch of does chasing. So I should say a bunch of bucks chasing does. So yeah, I think we're in a good place. Get a chance here as any. Just got to put the meat in the seat and see what happens, and that's what we're gonna do. Yeah, a little bit of question of whether I should have let that deer go or not. I don't know. It's a tough call. It's not my biggest by far. Not my biggest out here, so I think it was a good decision. But it's one of those things that kind of haunts you the entire trip. Time after. Spend most of your time convincing yourself it really wasn't that big and it was really a good move to let it go. We'll see how I feel in a week. Time. We all get the same amount, but how we allocate it is what makes us all different. Most of us have a limited amount of time in the woods. Knowing that the clock is ticking on our hunting season plays a big part in the mental game of being a hunter. It can affect your decisions on where you hunt, how much time you spend there, and it will leave you second guessing decisions that you've already made. Had 3 bucks come through. 2 of them were debatable. Passed them up. Had the one little small one come through. No question on him. But the last one that I got on camera, I seen him coming up a tree line. Got a quick look at him. Just didn't wow me. And decided to grab some footage of him and let him go. He's a mainframe 8. Nice deer. Great deer. Probably would have shot him out here my first year I was hunting. But I'm after a 10. It really has to be a phenomenal 8 like I killed last year before I would take it. So just being very selective. Kind of got in my head what I want. And that makes the whole chase, the whole hunt fun. One thing when you come to a place like this, everybody's expectation, what they're after is different. Some people just want to kill something. Some people want to kill the biggest thing out there, maybe their biggest deer ever. And that's what's cool about hunting. It's kind of different for everybody. Most of us plan our out-of-state hunting adventures months, sometimes years in advance. While we get to pick the day when we go hunting, none of us get to pick the weather. Hunting in the rain, snow, or high winds is a test of your desire to be a hunter. It really makes you appreciate having a warm place to go home to. Inclement weather is all part of the game. It's all part of the adventure. If you're like me, staying home is not an option, so we deal with what the skies dish out. There's a lot of things you can control on a hunting trip. One of them that you can't control is weather. And we've got weather coming. It's gonna rain. We probably got a couple more hours of rainless conditions, and then it's gonna rain, and then the wind's gonna blow. So it's the cards we're dealt, and we'll have to play them or fold our hand. Well, there you go, folks. The rain's here. You can probably hear it falling. I don't have a lot of confidence that I'm going to see a lot more movement with this front coming through. It was a tremendous morning. I had an opportunity to take 3 different 8-point bucks that were nice looking deer. They're not what I'm after. I've got my heart set on something a little bigger. But I had my opportunity at a good deer. What I'm after does not come stumbling out every day up here. Today's an interesting day. We had the snow this morning, and the temperatures have stayed right in the low 30s. One of the first mornings out here was actually colder, but because of all this wind, it has sucked every little bit of heat out of this blind. It feels a lot colder. As a hunter, we've all watched that final sunset fall on our final hunt of the season. We know that with the darkness comes an end to our season. Those final minutes of rapidly dimming light are when we reflect on the season and seasons gone by. We are thankful that we got to see one more sunset from the woods. The memories are what will carry us until next season. All right, folks, it's my last sunset in Kentucky for this season. It's been a heck of a trip.